Hey folks, happy Friday for you. We continue our March 2022 prayer calendar here at FUMCCV following the theme of forgiveness. We are exploring God's forgiveness. And here we are, Friday, March 25th. Now, let me say, you're not going to see these devotionals next week. And that's because I'm on vacation away, actually hiking the Grand Canyon with my son who turns 18 next week. So incredibly excited about that, but won't be able to post from the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And so I will miss you next week, but we will see you the following. So March 25th, Friday, March 25th. And this is a tough one today. Does forgiveness necessarily relieve the consequences of sin? It says relive. I think that's a typo. Does forgiveness necessarily relieve the consequences of sin? And the passage it asks us to look at is in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 9 through 14. One of the worst stories in the entire Bible, I think. So let me just remind us where we are when we get to this as you're finding 2 Samuel. So King David sees, the king of Israel, he sees this beautiful woman, Bathsheba, and he, who is married to one of his warriors. He takes Bathsheba into the castle and sleeps with her, impregnates her, then is nervous that she's impregnated. The husband is away in battle, so he asks the husband to come home. The husband comes home and says, spend a weekend of furlough with your wife. Thinking husband will sleep with the wife, then everyone will think that that's where the pregnancy came from, not from me. Husband sleeps on the doorstep the whole time. King David says, why do you sleep outside? And the husband says, well, I can't sleep in the comfort and with my wife while my men are out of battle. So David sends him back out to battle, tells him to advance on the enemy, tells all the other soldiers to pull back. He gets killed. King David can then say, look, he impregnated this woman, his wife, while he was on furlough. Now she's this poor widow, pregnant. I will take her into the kingdom and have her as my wife and be the sort of benevolent, great guy king. So that's the sin that is committed. This is the reading from 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 9. Why have you despised the word of the Lord to do what is evil in his sight? You have struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and have taken his wife to be your wife and have killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now, therefore, the sword shall never depart from your house, for you have despised me and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus says the Lord, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this very sun. For you did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan said to David, now the Lord has put away your sin. You shall not die. Nevertheless, because this deed you have utterly scorned the Lord, that child that is born to you shall die. Then Nathan went to his house, and indeed the child died. Oh gosh, what a difficult story and subject, painful that we read this in our biblical account. But let's talk about our lives. So you make a mistake, that mistake has certain consequences. That mistake is a sin against God. You can receive forgiveness for the sin, but that doesn't mean the consequences of the sin, the mistake, are going to be wiped clean. Now, in this story, in David, what we see is this sort of this understanding that the consequences of the sin are a continued punishment from God, or that God will forgive but sort of continue to punish you. We, of course, don't believe that the consequences of the sin are a punishment from God. We believe those are simply consequences of our decisions. And we believe that once God forgives us, that we are forgiven. And so I share that with you this day as we come towards the end of this month thinking about forgiveness. And we consider where it is that this forgiveness extends into our life, and how it has that impact. And an important thing is understanding that once we are forgiven, we are forgiven. But the consequences of that sin, well, we may live with that for a long time. I know this is not great news. It is great news, of course, to be forgiven. God bless. Have a great day.